Good afternoon. We're here to talk about Puerto Rico and the situation in Puerto Rico and what we're doing here. You know the gentlemen who are with me. To my left, we have Adjunct General Anthony German. To my right, we have Superintendent of the New York State Police, George Beach. We're also joined in the front row by George Miranda, President of Teamsters Local Joint 16. Welcome, George. Everyone's aware that there's a devastating situation going on in Puerto Rico right now. It seems to be getting even worse, believe it or not, as time goes on. As they get into the more remote part of the islands, they're finding more devastation and more destruction than were in the main part of the urban areas of the island. I spoke to Governor Rosselló this morning and asked him how we can help, what he needs, and he gave us some specifics, and I want to take through now where we are in New York and what our plans are in the next coming days. Obviously, this is all flexible because we're trying to be responsive to the needs of Puerto Rico. We are responsive both as Americans in this state. In Puerto Rico, they are American citizens, we have to remember. Virgin Islands, they are American citizens. So we respond as Americans. And in New York, we respond as New Yorkers because the Puerto Rican community is a big part of the New York community. I am a New York City boy, born and raised in Queens. I grew up with the Puerto Rican community. So it's personal for us, as well as a governmental or an ethical obligation. It's a personal obligation, and it's one we take very seriously. I can't tell you the outpouring of support all across the state for the people of Puerto Rico. People come up to me on the street, Puerto Ricans and not, just because of the affiliation, and they all make the same point: we have to do everything we can. It's terrible. I've seen the scenes in the newspaper. I've seen it on TV. We need to take action. And in New York, we are all about taking action. That's what we do. We wish people our best wishes. We remember them in our prayers. But I'm most proud as governor of New York that we actually act, right? And that's the job of government, is to act. Government is a service bureau. People want to see action and they want to see practical results, and that's what government is supposed to do. We started right away. There was the hurricane hit on September 20th, Hurricane Maria. By Friday, we left. We left on the first flight to San Juan. We met with the governor. We took a full aerial tour. We took a tour in Humvees to get an assessment of the situation. We made an initial commitment of the supplies that they requested were most urgent: water, meals, canned goods, cots, blankets, etc. Generators, those were on the first trip down. They also asked for technical assistance, so we deployed NYPA personnel, New York Power Authority, because the power grid is all down, and restoring a power grid is very difficult. We've done it here in New York a couple of times. Hurricane Sandy was one of the great challenges, was getting the grid back up. Down the lines are very dangerous. And how you get the system back up and get it back up quickly is an engineering feat, and NYPA are some of the best people in the country to do it. We also sent down DEC with drones so they could do assessments of some of the more remote areas. You have towns in Puerto Rico where there's one bridge that goes into the town and the bridge is out, so you literally can't get into the town. And the drones proved very helpful. September 24th, we launched the Empire State Relief and Recovery Effort, which is an organized effort to take advantage of the outpouring support from New Yorkers. We have a statewide collection agency, and the National Guard is in charge of distribution. We have a website, ny.gov, that says exactly how people can help. We also have a financial contribution component in the case people want to make financial donations, which the Attorney General has helped expedite, Attorney General Schneiderman. Attorney General has also agreed to police scammers from setting up phony organizations to take advantage of the situation. Today, as I mentioned, I spoke to Governor Rosselló this morning. JetBlue, which has been very, very helpful, is bringing the first shipment down of the items that we have collected. They're going to be doing multiple transports. They have done multiple transports already. But this transport this morning is bringing hundreds of boxes of food that have been collected at our collection sites, and JetBlue is bringing them down today. We are also deploying a ship owned by the state of New York called the Empire State, for obvious reasons. The Empire State ship can obviously transport a large amount of containers and pallets and can do it very quickly. It is now staged in Key West, Florida, so it can access Puerto Rico relatively quickly. And that ship is being loaded with pallets of supplies from the donated items that we've been collecting at the Javits Center. The Mets have collected goods at Citi Field, etc. But again, everything that Puerto Rico has been requesting, 22,000 bottles of water, containers of water, canned food, hygiene items, disinfectant wipes, batteries, flashlight, first aid kits, personal hygiene items. The National Guard is deploying today 60 more members from the 3rd Battalion, 142nd Aviation Regiment with 4 Black Hawk helicopters. The helicopters will be helpful in accessing the remote areas of the island that we've been talking about. And they will be very, very helpful. They'll be transported down on military aircraft and then deployed once they reach Puerto Rico. The governor asked for police help. You have power outage, you have people who are desperate. There's going to be a certain amount of looting, there's going to be a certain amount of theft. So we're sending 100 state troopers. The governor in Puerto Rico, Governor Rosselló, has signed an executive order that in effect deputizes New York State Police to function in Puerto Rico with legal authority. They're going to be transported down by Delta Airlines, which is doing this for us on very short notice. I want to thank Ed Bastian, who's the head of Delta Airlines. But they will, starting tomorrow, bring down 100 state troopers. We're sending down military police, again, in terms of looting and making sure the situation is safe. There are National Guard people who are trained as military police, and they will be transported as well as their own transportation, 16 Humvees, so they can move around the island. The Humvees are probably the most mobile vehicles that we have, and they'll bring their own supplies, and we now calculate that they'll be dispatched for 2 weeks. The island also needs engineers, and they need equipment. Much of this is damaged roads, damaged bridges, inaccessible towns because the roads are washed away. To get to the town, you have to first repair the road. To repair the road, you need personnel and you need equipment. And the National Guard will be sending down 125 engineers and road building equipment from the 827 Engineering Company. Department of Transportation is going to be sending down 30 truck drivers with CDL commercial driver licenses. The governor said he needs help with truck drivers. They have goods in the port. They're having trouble moving the goods from the port throughout the island. Distribution is a problem. Distribution is especially a problem to the remote areas. They have vehicles, we're sending more vehicles, but they need drivers who can handle these vehicles. And State Department of Transportation obviously operates snow plows, heavy equipment on highways and throughways, and they'll be sending down 30 truck drivers who are New York State employees. George Miranda from the Teamsters is going to be soliciting Teamsters who would be willing to go to Puerto Rico and help, again, truck drivers, and we want to thank them very much for their help. Also, today, we're calling on the federal government to waive what's called the Jones Act. The Jones Act, waiving the Jones Act would allow more ships to get to Puerto Rico faster and sooner, and that is the top priority. We don't have to get into the merits of the Jones Act and debating whether it should be permanently withdrawn, but short-term, certainly, when the urgency is to get goods to Puerto Rico, waive the Jones Act, get in as many ships as you can, pick a period of time, and when the emergency is over, you can reinstate the Jones Act. Those are the actions we're taking up to date. And again, I'm very proud of New Yorkers and how they've responded and the generosity. The outpouring in these collection agencies is amazing. What people are giving, and not just well-off people and rich people. It's amazing how many people who are poor themselves and don't have a lot of resources themselves are really scraping to make contributions to the people of Puerto Rico. And, I've been through a number of emergency situations as governor. When things are at their worst, New Yorkers are at their best. They like to say, well, New Yorkers are tough people, and we sound tough, and we talk tough. We can be tough. New Yorkers are also the most compassionate, most generous, most giving people you can imagine. And they've proven that time and time again. And they've proven that once again with this situation. Puerto Ricans are their neighbors. We've grown up together. We know each other's families. There are many people in Puerto Rico who are from New York and have family, vice versa. And I'll end where I started. This is personal. This is about helping family members. And there is nothing that we won't do. And there's nothing that we can be doing that we're not doing. And I want New Yorkers to know that. Anything that we can do, we will do. I understand how strongly New Yorkers feel about this. I understand their pain. I understand what it means not to be able to get in touch with family members, where your mind goes to the worst case scenario. You don't know who's alive. You don't know who's dead. This has gone on a number of days. So anything this state can do, we will do on any level.